The detention cell hummed with the low vibration of the Karvak warship's engines, as 15-year-old Maya Chen sat cross-legged on the cold metal floor, her worn backpack clutched protectively against her chest. Around her, 23 other human prisoners, mostly traders and diplomats from the merchant vessel Prosperity, huddled in frightened silence. Commander Zethkar, his reptilian scales gleaming under the harsh artificial light, paced before them with predatory satisfaction. His amber eyes swept over the cowering humans with disdain. The Karvak Dominion had finally captured their first group of the upstart species that dared to venture into their sacred territory. "So these are the mighty humans," Zethkar hissed, his translator rendering his words in perfect standard. "The ones who think they can simply waltz through Dominion space without consequence." Maya kept her expression carefully neutral, though her heart hammered against her ribs. She'd been traveling with her diplomat parents when the Karvak warships had surrounded their convoy. The adults had immediately surrendered, hoping to avoid bloodshed, but Maya had seen the cold hunger in the aliens' eyes. This wasn't about territory violations, this was about making an example. "You will serve as perfect specimens," Zethkar continued, stopping directly in front of Maya. His forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air around her. "Your government will learn what happens to those who defy the Dominion." One of the Karvak soldiers approached, his clawed hands reaching for Maya's backpack. "Commander, shall we search their belongings for intelligence?" Zethkar's lips pulled back in what might have been a smile, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. "An excellent idea, Sergeant Voss. Start with the young one. Children often carry the most interesting items." Maya's grip tightened on her backpack, but she knew resistance would only make things worse. With deliberate slowness, she released her hold and allowed the sergeant to take it. Sergeant Voss upended the backpack, dumping its contents onto the floor with casual indifference. Standard teenage items scattered across the metal surface. A tablet computer, earbuds, snack bars, a water bottle, notebooks filled with homework assignments, and various school supplies. The Karvak soldiers laughed, a sound like grinding glass as they examined the mundane objects. "Pathetic," Voss muttered, kicking at a pencil case. "No weapons, no technology of value. Just the detritus of a primitive child." But then something else tumbled from the backpack's depths, a carefully folded bundle of dark fabric. The laughter died abruptly as the cloth unfolded slightly, revealing a distinctive pattern and insignia. Maya watched as every Karvak in the room froze, their scales literally paling from deep green to a sickly yellow-gray. Sergeant Voss took an involuntary step backward, nearly tripping over his own feet. "Commander," Voss whispered, his voice barely audible. That uniform." Zethkar's amber eyes widened as he recognized the pristine black fabric with its silver trim and the unmistakable emblem embroidered on the chest, a stylized earth surrounded by stars, with a sword and olive branch crossed beneath it. Even folded, the uniform radiated an aura of disciplined precision that made the battle-hardened aliens nervous. "Terran Defense Force," Zethkar breathed, the words seeming to stick in his throat. Maya finally spoke, her voice quiet but carrying clearly through the suddenly silent cell. "Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, actually." "I'm just a cadet." The effect of her words was electric. Several Karvak soldiers actually stumbled backward, their weapon hands trembling. Commander Zethkar's face had gone completely pale, his scales now an unhealthy white. Every species in the galaxy knew about the Terran Defense Force. They were the reason the small, seemingly insignificant human homeworld had never been successfully invaded, despite dozens of attempts by various alien empires. The TDF didn't just win battles. They turned every conflict into a masterclass in tactical brilliance and ruthless efficiency that left their enemies' military academies rewriting their textbooks. But more importantly, everyone knew the golden rule that had emerged from humanity's first contact wars: never harm a TDF officer, never harm their family, and never ever harm their children. The hegemony of Wrath had learned that lesson the hard way when they destroyed a transport carrying TDF personnel's families. Within 6 months, their entire civilization had been reduced to scattered refugees begging for asylum. The consortium of Blades had made the mistake of executing captured TDF officers as war criminals. They'd lasted 3 weeks before their complete surrender. You're TDF," Zethkar stammered, his earlier arrogance evaporating like morning mist. Maya shook her head calmly. "I told you. I'm just a cadet. Junior ROTC. I haven't even graduated high school yet." She paused, then added with devastating casualness, "Though my mom is Colonel Sarah Chen, 7th Tactical Response Division. Dad's Commander Michael Chen, Strategic Planning Corps." The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Sergeant Voss made a choking sound, while another soldier simply fainted, crashing to the floor with a metallic clang. "My parents are probably wondering where I am right about now." Maya continued conversationally, carefully refolding her uniform with practiced precision. "Mom gets really cranky when people mess with her family. Dad's more the calculating type. He'll probably want to make an example." Commander Zethkar was now visibly shaking, his reptilian features contorted with terror. The Karvak Dominion was powerful, but they weren't suicidal. Taking on the Terran Defense Force was like declaring war on entropy itself. Technically possible, but guaranteed to end in absolute annihilation. "Release them," Zethkar whispered hoarsely. "Sir?" Sergeant Voss looked confused. "Release them all," Zethkar roared, his voice cracking with panic. "Now, immediately. And send a message to command. Full apology, diplomatic immunity, whatever they want." As the cell doors hissed open and the confused prisoners began to file out, Maya shouldered her backpack and walked past the terrified aliens. At the threshold, she paused and looked back at Commander Zethkar with the kind of polite smile that had somehow become humanity's most feared expression throughout the galaxy. "Thanks for not making Mom come get me herself," she said cheerfully. "She's been really stressed about the Rigelian situation, and I'd hate for you guys to end up as her stress relief." As Maya disappeared down the corridor, every Karvak in the room silently thanked their ancestors that they'd discovered what was in that backpack before it was too late. Sometimes the most dangerous weapon in the universe was a teenager's school uniform.